right, sports fans, welcome to the On Call Coaches podcast, where we talk player development, coaching philosophies, and all the tech and video tools that make the athletes better. I'm Coach Switz, joined always by the man, the myth, the legend.
Coach Zane's here.
There we go. How are we doing today, Coach Zane?
Doing awesome. How about yourself?
Pretty good. How was your day so far?
Great day so far. Worked with a girl that we've got going to Syracuse, so that's pretty awesome that she just signed her letter of intent a week or so ago. So she's pumped. She's going to go be an engineer and play hockey. So, yeah.
Smart and good.
Smart, yeah. And
Some get it all.
She had a good weekend this past weekend playing up in Chicago against some of the top teams. So it was good to watch some of that video, give some feedback, and work with her on some skills to develop.
All right, high level, going into college. What are they working on? What did you see that she should be working on?
You know, for her, first we were working on going towards the net. Like
Yep.
we got to, pick up the dirty goals. You got to put in the work there. You got to drive hard to the net. When somebody else is shooting, we can't just watch. We got to get there. Yeah. If anything, create a nuisance in front. Maybe it's your teammate that it falls on their stick, but if you're not there, you're not helping.
Yep.
And then we were working on some quick release shots, different ways to get shots off when you're in those dirty areas. You don't have time to grab power, step, point,
weight.
like we teach, like with a full wrist shot. So it's those quick little snap shots, backhands of getting the puck back on net off of a rebound or, a pass to the front where you just don't have time. So
Nice. Sounds like a fun one. How was the treadmill?
Treadmill was always fun. Yeah, working quick starts with her. So
fun.
She was hurting by the end.
I bet.
She was feeling it. But
For those that don't know, that means you're going up the mountain. It's 30 degrees uphill incline.
Yeah, about 10 miles an hour.
10 miles an hour.
It's fat.
It's zero fun. Zero.
It's a rodeo. How long can you hold on? Get your 5 strides in, grab the bar. But it's tough, but it pays off. It works really well in developing those quick strides and muscle memory of how to do those quick strides up on your toes.
Nice. All right, I got 2 topics for us today. We're going to start with the first one only, then we'll move on. First question. Talks about it in our interview after this. How do you handle playing club hockey alongside high school hockey?
That's a tough one. And it hits most players in the St. Louis area and hits you right between the eyes because it is a whole nother level of commitment to hockey, making sure that you're taking care of your body, making sure that you're getting sleep, still have time to be a high school kid.
Oh, yeah.
Still have time to do your homework. Oh, and by the way, you've got this team pulling you in this direction for your games practices, and then you have this high school team that's now pulling you in a different direction for games practices. Communication is key. Making sure that you're communicating with both coaches, making sure that
you as in player or mom and dad.
Oh, player.
Just making that out there. Just making sure we're all on the same page.
No. At that age, most parents are dropping you off, and you're going and playing hockey, and you're with the team, you're with the coaches, you're with the staff, and you need to have that communication with that staff. Well, with both teams.
Sure.
And making sure that the kids that I see that get themselves into trouble are ones that surprise staffs, that say, oh, I can't be there tonight because, I've got a game with my other team or I've got practice. Like there needs to be clear ground rules set at the beginning of the year of like what takes precedent over what, practices versus
There's a
games,
pecking order.
Yes.
Everybody knows it.
Yep. And establish that and make sure everybody's bought in on that. And then there's no arguments or confrontation later.
Yeah.
And schedules do change, especially come playoff time in high school. You don't know when you're going to play in high school time or playoff time for, the Central States players, things like that. Things do change, but there just needs to be open communication. As soon as you know something changes, make sure you're communicating that. Make sure the coaches know who's going to be there, when you're going to be there. And if you're not, here's why. Here's, I'm doing this, and you find that balance.
Yeah. Well, and even both leagues have playoffs now. The Tier 1 league has the playoffs and everything.
Now.
So, everybody's got the playoffs. One of the things I thought was one of the bigger helps when we were coaching the kids who mapped out the entire season right as we got schedules.
Yeah.
The ones who sat down, took both of them, printed them out, and was like, here's my conflicts. What do you want me to do? And we started that, when you're asking for those days off 3 months before, everybody's a lot happier about it.
Yeah, and even it's, hey, I've got a weekend where I'm playing 6 games. Like Monday practice probably isn't the best thing for that player.
Yep.
And both coaches and players have to come to that agreement that there's certain days where again, you need to be a high school kid. You got to have homework days. You got to have recovery days. Like you got to build those into your schedule too. So it may not even just be a direct conflict. It might be, guys, I'm kicking
schedule to schedule.
I'm getting my butt kicked all weekend.
Yeah.
Playing 5-6 games for this team.
And I rode a bus.
Yeah. I need Monday off.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to recover. And those are good conversations to have. The earlier, the better, like you said.
Going back to communication was on my list. Any changes from the plan that was discussed early from the main mapping out of the season. The quick communication to the coach. As soon as you see it, you're talking to the coach about that.
Yeah,
right
games
away.
get rescheduled. There's things that are going to happen over the course of the season, and everybody's got to be open to those. Just don't make them surprises.
Monitoring your schedule. How far out should a player be monitoring both schedules for those one-off changes? Those added videos or the added workouts or things like that.
What's
fair, Coach? Be fair.
Month, 2 months, if you can.
I was even nicer than that. I was thinking at least 2-3 weeks.
You
know what I mean? If it's not week of, it's frustrating. Again, I'm talking practices. Games, you better let me know more than 2-3 weeks out.
And if you have your schedule, you should, right now, you should know your schedule pretty much up until playoff time.
Yeah, all the big stuff.
Playoffs are going to throw you a curveball.
Yep.
But, there's no reason that you shouldn't know at least your base schedule, what it is, through the end of the season at this point.
Yeah.
And be able to map that out. So that's 2-3 months out now. And then curveballs are curveballs. They're going to come up. They're going to happen, even if it is week of, but what you just can't be, you don't want to cry wolf and be the person who everything's a fire.
Yeah.
Now
I'm actually going to look in to see when that email came across that let everybody know.
Yeah,
the 3 other players on the team let me know 2 weeks ago that practice was canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, just don't make everything a fire drill and be smart about communicating when you can, as fast as you can. And when things pop up, they're going to. It just happens. Games get rescheduled, like I said, especially the in town, against the other Central States teams in town. They're like, oh, cool, we have a Wednesday open. Let's make that a game instead of a practice. Things like that happen to get games in.
For sure. Last one, knowledge of the local rules for the leagues. Got to get your games in to be eligible. You see that messed up every once in a while. Starts with the plan, knowing how many games you got to get to be eligible. Probably should build in a buffer game or two. For those one-off misses possibly that you got to make. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that's just all that planning and mapping out at the beginning of the year. When we were coaching DeSmet, Casey Ott did a great job of
that was very strong of his, was having the whole season mapped out with every player. Was wild for the time he took to make sure everybody got their games.
Yeah, and I don't think we had any problems come playoff time for the people
eligible.
who were regulars in the roster were.
Yeah,
we
weren't struggling to get somebody eligible. Everybody had plenty of time to get their games in.
Yeah, and even one or two that had injuries, like the 2/3 rule or whatever, or 1/3 rule, where you get some credit for every game that you miss.
Every 3 games, you get 2 games.
Yeah, so the 2/3 rule, and factoring those in, he did an awesome job. So shout out to Casey on that one. That was a good one.
Big time. All right, next topic, second top of the day. How do you get started coaching after you're done playing? Just graduated or retired. Need to fill some of my free time. Start with some positive influences. Let's go ahead and add coaching to my time. How do I start? Where do I go? What do I do, Coach?
Number one is just let people know that you're interested in it.
Who do I let know? Do I go to Starbucks, just let the barista know?
Yeah, you could.
I'm going to coach hockey today.
You could start there, but we all grew up playing for clubs, or the local clubs.
Yep.
For me, I just made it known that when I was done playing junior hockey, and it was my senior year of high school, I'm going to school in town. I'm going to be at WashU. I'm very interested in coaching, and I just let some of the local clubs know. And I just happened to, my first gig was the STL Elite spring season right after graduation. I went right into coaching after my senior year, and so that was just me putting myself out there. Sending emails to club presidents, or if I knew somebody on the board, saying this is a decent.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
Do you have any changes that you might do differently this time? Because I know because I started the same way, but I got a different way how I would start.
You can go back to your old coaches and people that you respected and mentors, and especially if they're still coaching, getting onto their staffs and things like that. They can help lead the path for you. What were
I was
you
looking
thinking?
at a buddy, looking for a friend that's already coaching, somebody
That
you might have
too,
played
yeah.
with. I think, we ended up on a staff with 3 of us that either played or went to school together, and it really made it a lot more fun having peers, opposed to even the old coach and your relationship like that. You know what I mean? To where there's still that authority figure. It's more of a peer level when y'all grew up together, played together. And I felt it was a lot of fun when you're coaching with some friends.
I went to search out the older coaches to learn.
Yep.
I understood the game from playing it. I didn't understand the child psychology side of it, which is a lot of it, and watching how they create a practice plan, how they run a practice plan, how they do those sorts of things.
For sure.
So
Smart. I forgot about that.
If it is a peer, I would say find a peer who's been in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can learn a lot from, just like the older coach who's been there. So, I got on the staff with Chuck and Chase, and we had that STL team. It was awesome, but I learned so much. I was the head coach, quote unquote, but that was just because their kids were both playing.
Only.
Yeah, their kids were both playing on the team. And so in practices, I listened to them. I watched how they coached the kids, how they had kids. They've been through it. I didn't have any kids. I didn't coach any kids at that point, so there was a learning experience there of just interacting with a child, because I didn't have any of my own, where they may not be the best coaches always, but they've got one at home. They've dealt with kids, and they understand how to get them out of a funk, or how to motivate them in the right ways. And so that's the side of coaching that I had to learn, was how to interact with a 7-8-year-old and get them motivated to play hockey games and get them thinking while they're on the ice and things like that.
All right, I like it. Now, do you think so? You moved to a new town for a new job. Would say find a close club. Don't go driving all. There's a lot of hockey practices, a lot of hockey games. Look for the one closest, would you think? Or were you looking for the top? How are you judging from there to start?
I did it when I moved to Newfoundland.
Okay, talk to me about that. Yeah. You've done this.
Yeah,
break it down.
When I moved up to Newfoundland, I got sent up there for a construction job,
Mm-hmm.
4-year commitment, moved to this small fishing town, Placentia, Newfoundland, and I was nobody in that town. I just showed up. I'd been coaching here. I just went down to the local rink and asked the manager. I was like, all right, who do I need to talk to to coach hockey? I love coaching hockey. This is what I do. He put me in contact with the club president, Mrs. Pittman, and from there we just had a few conversations. One, she wanted to vet me and make sure who I was, and what are you doing?
Random guy coming to the rink.
Yeah, what are you doing in this town? So once that was all vetted and we went through that, then I started just helping out, and by the time it was over, I was coaching 2 or 3 teams almost every night at the rink, and picked up a AAA provincial team, which was pretty cool to coach
nice.
at the highest level of midget U18 AAA up there. But it just started with just being at the rink and asking, and then following up with that local club of like, okay,
let's try out. You got to need somebody. Come on, put me in, coach.
And up in Canada and Newfoundland, it was the best way to connect. All my people on the job site were like, how come you get invited to dinner every night to somebody's house? This is unbelievable. We've been here for a year and we know 3 people. You walk into every place and 10 people. I'm like, it's hockey. That's all it is.
Yeah. Everybody here plays hockey.
We're a big family, and every night I got invited over to people's houses. Christmas, if I was stuck up there and not coming home, or their Thanksgiving or whatever, I had family there because they all took me in and took care of me. So it was more than just hockey. It was a whole community that I was able to be a part of.
You recommend diving in or getting your feet wet first?
Oh, I dove in.
All right.
And then that was just
good
me.
way, bad way? What do you think? Would you do it? How would you separate? Would you do it a different way for different reasons?
I don't think so. I think if you really know that that's what you want to do, and I already coached for many years here, so
no. I mean, when you first got started, when you're first getting into coaching, do you dip your toe in or do you dive right in?
It's hard to dip your toe in, and the reason is you're younger, you have time, you love the sport, and
it's fun.
The thing that when you quit playing hockey, you miss the most is the locker room, the people, the community aspect of it. You see it with the NHL guys that go back and get front office jobs.
Yep.
Because you talk to them and they're like, I just miss being around the guys. And you might start saying you're going to dip your toe in, but I promise you're not going to. If you really love hockey and you love coaching hockey, you're very quickly going to go from dipping your toe in to just jumping in the deep end and going with it. And figuring it out as you go.
Well, and like a lot of those guys, they might be in a position where they can go join a juniors team. That could be a lot your first time. You're getting on a bus and we're traveling, and you know what I mean? Like, you know what the grind is, but that's a whole different grind when you don't have to put the skates on. And
yeah, my jump wouldn't be straight to like a junior team. It'd be a local club.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying like, getting into it and getting back into it, like your local clubs are going to be the best.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter what level, whether you're starting at Squirt Silver like you did, or
heck yeah,
AAA level or whatever.
I thought that was dipping my toe in. I mean, there's only one, maybe two practices a week at that level, so I kind of got to say, okay, I do like this, just to make sure I didn't make any commitments that I wasn't going to be able to keep.
But I remember a conversation with you where you're like, I just really wanted to run that practice. I really wanted to teach that skill. We were working on stopping, and you're like, I would say that you're dipping your toe in until you're like, no, I really want to do this.
But I didn't make a commitment I couldn't keep. You know what I mean? And that's more what I mean. And like, you go to AAA and you're in for 120. You got 120 practices and 80 games, and they count on you.
Yeah.
And so more that's what I mean. And don't make a commitment you're not going to be able to fulfill throughout the year.
Yeah, and if
your name is what you are in coaching.
Well, and it's going to follow you forever.
Yeah,
so
that's what,
don't burn bridges, and like you said, don't overcommit. Do what you can. And commit to what you can, and understand that you also are, at that point, like I was in college, I had classes I had to go to, I had homework and stuff like that. So when I was coaching that team, luckily it was kind of a spring summer team, but I went right into the Mite AA team the next season and just said, hey guys, this is when I can be here. Luckily I had a very strong assistant coach,
support and staff,
so I would, and again, it's back to that planning. We laid out our schedule. I said, I told the president,
who can do this?
Here's the days that I can be at the rink. Please try to schedule my practices there.
Yep.
And they did a pretty good job of that, and so I was able to make most things. But when I couldn't, I had Ron Walters. He was right behind me and running practices, running drills. He did a great job.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think our guest today will fold in nicely to this conversation. We touch on both of those. Before we get to him, I want to take a quick 10-second commercial break, and then we'll jump right into the interview. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, guys.
All right, beauties, listen up. We only got 3 spots left in the 12U and 14U Intermediate Advanced Christmas Camp. The rest, gone faster than your last breakaway attempt. Don't miss out. Sign up at stlht.com before Santa takes your spot. Okay, today's guest is going to be a fun one. He grew up and played youth hockey in St. Louis. He also played junior hockey for the St. Louis Junior Blues and continued to play hockey at Mizzou, where he was by far the leader in penalty minutes. Graduated and retired from playing in Mizzou and immediately went on to coach the team. He moved back home, took a coaching gig at Clayton High School, where he's now the head coach and has been for the last 4 years. He worked for Zane and myself for about 1.5 years as a private skills coach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely excited to introduce our next guest, Coach Cory Cannon. Coach Cory, how are you?
What's up, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me today.
Doing good. Like the flow, looking good, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured, you win a Wickenheiser Cup, you can do a couple different things. And, I think the boys were looking for a little flow this year. So I told them I'd grow it out. If they did their part, I'd do mine. So here we are.
Jealous.
I love it.
I'm just jealous. Where are you at right now with that wild background?
I am sitting in a conference room right now. It's I figured this was a nice, fun background.
I like it.
I'm not the best looking guy in the world, so I figured I'd have a little something exciting to look at behind me.
All right, I want to start with Mizzou, Coach Cory. I was looking over the career, and as you say, I saw you had quite the few penalty minutes your senior year. I think 158.
Yeah.
The closest one on the team was like 40.
The funny part about that is I think I only played the first semester, so quite a few penalty minutes in a short amount of time. Let's just say I didn't make too many friends with any of the referees that we saw pretty frequently. So I think I was an easy target.
Your love of refs started early, did it?
That's what they tell me. There's some things I forget, and I think that's one that stuck with me. I think I've always had a thing for refs.
What was it like playing down in Mizzou? Tell me a little bit about how it is to play. In case you didn't know, everybody, Mizzou's an ACHA D2 university, I think, right now, right, Coach?
Yeah, so they actually just went back up to Division II. When I was there, we were Division II. They took a little bit of a step down at one point to Division III, just to kind of help rebuild the program. Being a club sport is a little bit different than your traditional NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III sport. It's for the most part, pay to play.
Yep.
A lot of schools don't get support, or a lot of clubs don't get support from the university or school. Some do, but it's very much you have to seek these opportunities out type of deal. And it's something that, I'm very proud to say I got to do.
Yeah.
I think club hockey's awesome, especially for guys that maybe aren't looking to pursue the next level at a high level. You're still able to play competitive hockey against good opponents, against fun schools, and get to do a lot of fun stuff, and get to go to college and get the education you want. I think sometimes with these smaller schools that you see a lot of NCAA Division III, you're kind of stuck going somewhere you maybe don't want to go. And I loved Mizzou. I think it's a great school. It's obviously a lot of fun. There's football and basketball, and it's a great campus. But it allowed me to get the education I want and go to the school I wanted to go to, and still get to play really high level hockey against guys I grew up playing with and guys I grew up playing against, and I get to meet a lot of kids that played Minnesota, Chicago. You really get to expand your friend group and get to go to cool schools and play in cool arenas and play for your school. It's a pride thing. It's something that I'm very proud of, and I suggest to all the guys that play for me now is it's something you should look at. Maybe you decide it's not for you, but it's a great style of hockey.
Did you ever get to play in the University of Kentucky's 11:59 p.m. game on Friday nights?
We did.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun. And we actually came straight from Mizzou the first time we did it, and we were running late.
You're running late for a 11:59 p.m. puck drop?
Exactly.
That's
right?
so
It's
college.
crazy. But yeah, no, we walked into the arena, and it's they bus people in and they pack the stands, and it's a very small arena. It's really tight, so you can hear everything, you can see everything that's going on, and it's a great atmosphere. And you don't, sometimes you don't get that at the bigger schools or, at the NCAA level. It's a little bit more obtainable. It's a little bit more close because sometimes you think these Division I athletes are too big. You're playing club hockey. You're just a regular guy going to school, going to class, and getting to have your classmates out there like that is, it's a game I remember that whole weekend. The back-to-back 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock games it's just fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast for the boys to get around and really get after it.
Well, and what a smart way for a school to bring people into. I mean, Kentucky's known for being basketball, so you're competing with basketball season with hockey. So let's put this after the basketball game that was on campus, walk down to the stadium or to the ice rink, and now you have a packed house of people that have already been up for the basketball game and now are excited to watch another game.
Right, and you're not competing with Saturday football. I think that's something that college hockey and hockey in general runs up against is it's a lot of Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. And if you can give your students an opportunity to not have anything else going on and give them a chance to go, you see it. People want to watch hockey. People like watching hockey. If you give them a chance to do it, they will show up and they'll be loud and they'll be rowdy and they'll be fun. And it gives both teams a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I even think like Lindenwood could do something like that. I know they're struggling to get those buildings filled for the new Division I team. I think that could be something they should look at for a fun night out there. I know you probably get a lot more college kids to show up and amped up there. Coach, I'm looking at you. You played for Mizzou, and then you went ahead and coached Mizzou. I also know personally because you played for Clayton, and then you went on and coached Clayton. Tell me a little bit about, how do you set yourself up to be in a position to make that available as an option for you?
I tell my guys all the time, you got to be lucky to be good. And I think that's something I've been is pretty lucky. I think both situations I just kind of fell into. I wouldn't say that I was looking to coach Mizzou right away. It was something that I had talked about with Todd, who was our coach at the time, when I was wrapping up my playing career. And I was looking for something to do kind of right after college. So I told him I would help assist the rest of the year after I was done playing, which was second semester is really only about 5 to 6 games. And we weren't making playoffs. So there was no, it wasn't going to be 20, 30 games. So it was something I thought, hey, might as well take the opportunity and see. I've always thought maybe I would like to get into coaching. I love the game of hockey, obviously, and the opportunity arose, and I'm big on, hey, if there's a good opportunity there and it's a chance for you to learn something or do something new, why not try it? And if it doesn't work, you either learn from it or you move on. And I think that was a big thing for me was, hey, the opportunity's here. It's close to home. I still get to be around hockey. It would be weird. Would be weird for me to not have any hockey in my life.
Yeah.
I think at this point I've only taken maybe 6 months off total in my whole life away from the game, and I didn't want to do that again. And I finished out the season with those guys, and we had a good group coming back the next year. And unfortunately, right before the season kicked off, the head coach, life happens and wound up having to move to Alaska, and we were really scrambled.
Whoa.
And couldn't find anybody. It just came down to it of, hey, are you willing to step up and do this? Or there's a chance we might not have a season. And I know how much fun it is, and I know how much it means to the guys that worked hard to kind of help build that program back up to keep it going.
Yeah.
So I said, sure, there's no money, but I'll do what I can. I'll be at whatever I can be at, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a great learning experience. And it was a lot of work, a lot of driving. Columbia, Missouri, and St. Louis are about 90 minutes apart, and that's Friday, Saturday, going down, coming back for games. Dealing with a full work schedule, fresh out of college. It was interesting. And we decided it wasn't going to work the next year, and they needed something more full time from a coach, which is totally understandable and something I think they deserved, and something that has helped lead them back up to Division II and really helped turn that program around, is getting somebody that could be a little bit more involved than I was able to be at the time. So I took a little bit of time off after that, and St. Louis is such a small hockey community and real tight knit, and I got a phone call from a friend of a friend that I grew up playing with, who said, hey, I'm taking over the head coaching job at a local high school. I'm looking for an assistant coach that's got some good experience, that played the game at a high level and can kind of understand and learn coaching as they go. And it just so happened to be my alma mater, Clayton. So again, I'm big on opportunities. That if it's a good opportunity at the right time, why not take it? So I was the assistant coach for a year, and then obviously COVID hit, and everything kind of went off the rocker. And the head coach, again, life happens, received a job in Kansas City and had to step away, and called and recommended me and really put himself on the line to give me a chance to take over as the head coach. And again, opportunities, I couldn't say no. Even if it was for a year, it was something I thought I could do, and I thought there was something I could give back to the program. I was lucky enough to play for some great coaches, and any opportunity I think I have to be a coach and to help these kids, do something fun and help build a program and give them something to be proud of, I think it's something I'd like to do. And that's always been the goal, is to help build a program. We want to be a powerhouse, whether it's for big school, small school, whatever. So it was a unique opportunity for me to jump in and take over another of my alma maters, which was exciting and fun, and it's turned out pretty well for me.
Well, and it sounds like you didn't burn any bridges while you were there. No matter what happened, sounds like everybody at the program still liked you, or didn't know enough about you to not like you, which can also be a good thing.
They didn't see his college stats.
Right. That's the big thing too, is I've always been of the mindset of, you don't want to burn bridges, like you said, Alex, and you want to leave things better than when you found them.
Yeah.
I think that was always my goal with Mizzou. That's always been my goal with Clayton, is to try and build something that not only I can be proud of, but, as an alumni, as someone who played for the program, any program, you want to look back and say, hey, this is something I can be proud of. And they've continued to help young men and women, whatever the sport, whatever the team is, continue to, achieve different things. get to where they want to go and do the things that they want to do.
Well, and stay proud of the alma mater, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's really what it is. You want to be proud that you went there and not have a team that's collapsed and there's no longer a hockey team there, so nobody
Right.
really cares anymore.
Right. And unfortunately, you see that a little bit here in the St. Louis area of schools that, are kind of in and out or have had long histories and just aren't around anymore. And it's a bummer. It's sad that, if you move out of town or, you have a kid that you can't take them to go watch some fun high school hockey for the team you played for. It's just a nice little thing to have. And, something that if you can keep going as long as possible, you'd love to.
Now, staying on the high school hockey, let's talk a little bit about the state of high school hockey. How do you think the St. Louis high school hockey is coming along? You've been in it now 4 years. What do you like? What do you don't like? What would you like? What's the biggest thing you'd like to see changed? A couple things there, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think the state there's a lot more talent than there's ever been. I think that we've got especially in a conference like ours. I tell the guys that play for me all the time, we never had the type of talent to play against, to play with that these guys have. I mean, you look around, we've got some Central States and AAA players that we just never had those numbers before. We look around at our conference opponents like Ladue, who we played in the Wickenheiser Cup final. They've got a loaded roster of AAA players that are highly skilled and have the potential to move on and do some cool things. There's some things I don't love. Obviously nothing's perfect, right?
Yep.
I think they've done a decent job of kind of working with the AAA, the local programs to make this schedule better. I think it's in everybody's best interest, the players, the leagues, the coaches, the families, that these kids are able to not only do the things they want to do, but also not get burned out, not have to worry about, arguing with their coach about, hey, I can or can't play this game. High school hockey is more fun. You get a lot more at the club level as far as like advancement, but you don't get to play in front of your friends. You don't get to play in front of 50, 75, 100 people like you do at the high school level. So giving those kids an opportunity, and I think that's improving. Obviously, I think with them looking at the playoff schedule now and kind of planning playoffs around the other leagues' playoffs has been a huge help.
Yeah.
We didn't have that when I played. We didn't have that the first couple of years I coached. And it allows you to really get the best hockey. I think it's in everybody's best interest to put the best hockey on the ice. Because otherwise you're going to wind up with your high-level players walking away and saying, hey, this isn't worth my time. And then, is it worth the league's time to put out a product like that? And as far as improvements, I think the biggest thing for me is putting these kids in a chance to not have to play 10 games. It's tough. We
Yes.
as a smaller school, we get stuck with those times pretty frequently. So we're used to it. We can make things happen. We can adjust. But it's just so tough when you've got a kid that's, in town playing a game at 6:30 and now he's got to sit at the rink for 2 hours for a 10:10 start, and he's got games the next day, or your program's got practice the next day,
Or school.
Yeah.
right? Or school, and it just adds a lot of miles and a lot of it drains the tank. That's a big thing. Is we want to help these kids build their tank, but asking them to sit around all day and, hey, you're not getting to the rink till 9 o'clock at night, and you're not dropping the puck till 10. You're not leaving till 12:30 p.m. and you got to get up and do it all over again. It's a lot, and it's hard on these kids. They may not realize it, but you can see it, and even in your most conditioned players, you're looking at them, they look a little off, and some of it's due to that. But hockey's a unique sport where you've only got so many sheets, you've only got so many places you can go, and losing one of our local rinks that we played specifically at a lot, Brentwood, has been a little tough on scheduling for us specifically. But you get what you get. You're stuck with what you can do, and are you going to make the most out of it, or are you just going to complain and say, "Wow, it's late. What are we going to do?"
Yeah, can't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the amount of players that are not playing, like you said, Central States AAA that are also playing high school, trying to balance those schedules. I know some of the other states have gone to like a split hybrid schedule where you
Yeah.
play, high school, then or AAA, then high school,
Yep.
and then you come back to AAA. Would that be something that you would support in the state of Missouri? Like if obviously there's a lot of moving parts there that would have to rearrange and work together. But I'm just thinking for player safety, how many kids have we seen coach where they've gone down with just high use injuries or overuse
Well, yeah,
injuries?
you go on a
And
tournament, you play 5 games, and then Monday night you got a varsity hockey game, playing again.
you're just
we
asking for
Yeah.
going into the corner with your head down, a concussion or a broken collarbone.
Or just
It's
your
silly-
muscles.
It's just
Pull a muscle.
silly injuries that happen because you're tired, not because you wouldn't have made that mistake if you were fresh. Maybe that's the best way to put that.
Well, and I would support it. I think obviously, like you said, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's an adjustment anytime you do something like that. But I think it does give everybody the best chance to succeed. And I was actually talking about this with one of my assistant coaches last night, who coaches at CarShield, and the usage injuries, things like that we just didn't see when we were playing. And we were playing a lot of hockey, but the way things are going now. Unfortunately for us, we've had the injury bug bite our team bad this year. We've got 2 of our top players are basically out for the season. We've got 2 young freshmen that are dealing with growth injuries and usage injuries. So it's tough, and it's a lot to ask for those kids to, if they're playing on 2 teams, to give their best full effort every single time they touch the ice. It's just not possible. It's an unrealistic expectation to want those kids to have all that energy. Like I said before, the tank's empty. At some point, you're just out of gas, and that's when you see those injuries. I'd be willing to look at anything that helps not only the high school league, right? I think selfishly, I want to have the best.
Yeah.
You want to play the best teams. You want to see the best players. I love good hockey. I love watching, even if it's against us. I love watching good hockey. Anything that can help not only the leagues but the kids, right? It's about the kids. We want to see them, play their best hockey and night after night after night, practice, games, off ice, other sports, other teams. It's a lot, and anything we can do to find a way to give these kids the opportunity to not just burn out by December. There's still 3-4 months of hockey for some of these guys.
Does anybody ever bring it up switching it to summer or changing the season that they play the hockey season in so they can separate the leagues?
I think that it's been brought up, at least from the high school level. They've moved the JVB league, which is typically your freshman, your 8th grade, 7th grade, depending on birth year. They've moved that to the spring, early summer, which I think has really helped that. It's kind of kept some guys on the ice that maybe wouldn't have been on the ice for those months and kind of helped their development. I've always wondered can we start the high school season later? Do we need to start it in November? Can we start it in December? We're only playing 20 regular season games and around 8 playoff games at maximum. Is there a way to push it to later in the year where your championship instead of February is in April or May? Is there a way to space it out properly? Whether that's splitting the season, like you mentioned, Zane, or like other states do. I know Massachusetts does that. What is the best solution? And unfortunately, with a lot of moving parts, and I'm not sure that everybody agrees with everybody, which unfortunately with a decision like this, you're going to have. There's got to be a solution. I'm just not sure what it is or what it looks like. I think moving the season around could work. You just got to make the right people happy. Unfortunately, it's hard to get everybody on the same page.
Tough to get that super majority to make that change.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, I want to change gears a little bit here. You've been doing some video coaching for us on the On Call
Mhm.
Coaches site. I want to what's your thoughts on the site? How do you recommend players? And the bigger one is, how do you recommend players utilize video as a tool for their development?
I first of all, I love the site. I love getting to do it. I think you and I have talked offline a couple times about how much I enjoy doing that. I think it's such a key to the way that things are now. The way people learn, the way kids take in information, it is different. It's good to be hyper specific. If you can narrow down on a kid's shift or his shifts for that game and really focus and point out, hey, this is what I see. This is where you are, to give them that kind of 1,000-foot view that, when you're on the ice or when you're on the bench, you don't really get. We utilize video at our program as a holistic, as a group thing.
Yeah.
But to be able to have it individually and break down your shifts with someone who is watching for you specifically, is looking out for things that you might miss or might not know. There's a lot of information out there that you just don't know until someone tells you or someone shows you. And this really gives you at your fingertips, that feedback, that information. And it's up to you what you choose to do with it. But I don't think there's any better way to really learn and focus in a game situation other than video, and to have someone who's knowledgeable and wants to see you do well, review that and give you feedback. I think that feedback is great. It's something I wish I had. We did team video when I was growing up playing, but with 20 guys and a bunch of games.
Yeah, talk about the difference there. Yeah, talk about the vibe difference between a group setting and your individual video.
Yeah, the group setting is great. As a team, you have team systems, you have team goals, you have things that as a group you're looking to accomplish. And I think holistically that's great, to bring everybody in, and it can be part of team bonding. We're big on, hey, if we're calling somebody out or something out, it's not personal, but it's usually a mistake that multiple people make. So as a team, as a group, it allows us to really hone in on, hey, as a group, how can we bring this back together and fix it for all 20 of us or 15 of us?
It's not a skill issue.
Yeah, it's more of a system or a group issue. Or something that as a whole 20 guys need to see and to learn. Individually it's more skill, it's more focused on the player and what the player brings or can bring if they're in the right spots, if they're doing the right things. For hockey specifically, it's great for positioning.
Yeah.
I think it's great to teach kids, and that's something I see, and I think the three of us have talked about ad nauseum, during camps and lessons of the hockey IQ is just not what it used to be on the whole. So I think giving kids this opportunity to really focus and narrow down can help build that skill. And I think that hockey IQ helps build a lot of other things for players. So to give them that narrowed focus of, hey, your positioning's off or your timing's a little bit off here, and here's what you should do, or here's how you can make that better the next time, and to give that feedback right to the player is so key and will really help them, a lot quicker. It's tough to teach 20 guys the same thing at one time. So to have that one-on-one feedback is just so key, I think.
Yeah, on the positioning side, pluses and minuses of the whole ADM model, really focusing on the skill development of the young players, but what they do miss is the positioning side of it. I can't tell you how many 12U teams we've had where I've been like, all right, we're gonna run a breakout, and they all look at you and their eyes are really big and like, what's that, coach?
Well, you're also starting to see it come down from like the higher ups, the junior scouts, the junior coaches, and the semi-pros. The kids are losing the hockey IQ, tons of skill, but they don't know how to play it.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of scouts. I've talked to some junior coaches and junior owners over the last 6 months just about coaching and other things that I'm just a little shocked sometimes at just some of the guys that you would expect that play at high levels to know certain things, and they either don't know them or they don't have the grasp that you're looking for, that you need. And this is just another key to reinforce that. And it can be a lot to ask a kid to watch a whole hockey game, or there's just not a lot of time. Kids got stuff going on. You got homework, you got school, you got all this, but hey, to be able to say, hey, here is you.
Yeah, here's a couple shifts.
Yeah, here's 1 or 2 shifts.
Yeah, and even if it's a couple minutes of 2-3 minutes, it's usually 4 or 5 shifts, and you can get a pretty good idea of what the player really needs to focus on.
Yeah, what the biggest opportunity for that player is.
Yeah.
All right, let's change gears again. I want to do a fun one. People appreciate this, I think. What's it like working for Coach Zane and myself?
I loved it. I think it's
I didn't
I
ask
still
Ryan
I
and
still
Coach.
speak I still speak very fondly of it. I think for me personally, I loved it. I learned more than I ever thought I would. And that's not a knock on you guys. I just, you go into it, you think, hey, I played at a high level, I know all this stuff, but to be able to continue learning and from two guys who know what they're talking about, who have a track record of a lot of success. I mean, you look around St. Louis hockey, there's STL hockey training fingerprints, Coach Zane, Coach Alex fingerprints on a lot of players and
So
a lot of
nice.
really good players, so it's really cool to see and to see the jerseys and to know that some of these guys have got to work with you and to get to talk with them. Hey, how'd you like working with Coach Zane, Coach Alex? And to hear what they have to say is really cool.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I appreciate you saying that. I was hoping you had like, oh, he's miserable. We had Coach
dirt.
Ryan and Coach Joe on here. I didn't ask them that because we still pay them, so I
Right.
think it wouldn't be any bad. But no, and Coach Cory was fun. He ran our Chesterfield location, and once he left, I think we went ahead and just made that decision. We're going to let it go out. But he was great while he worked for us. Coach Cory, that's kind of all I had. Anything you'd like to talk about before we let you go?
No, I think I might have just covered it, but it's still great, and I think we're all obviously still on great terms, and I think I learned a lot from you guys, and I still have the utmost respect from you guys. Is still we still connect, we still talk, obviously, and we're still involved in a lot of the same things, and with how small, I think I said it before, how small and how tight knit the St. Louis hockey community is. There's St. Louis hockey training. There's Coach Zane, Coach Alex, Coach Joe, Coach Ryan. There's fingerprints on those guys all over the place. And to see, the work that I know you guys put in and those guys put in to help these kids is great. Because you don't get that. You don't get a lot of guys that do it just because they love to do it. That they want to help these kids succeed. They want to help these kids get where they're going. I think that's something that St. Louis hockey training and you guys have always done. And I think that's what sets you guys apart. And, I'm like I said, I'm still very fond of my time. I'm still proud of all the things and all the people that we worked with. And, I'm proud to still, call you guys friends and mentors for me,
Well,
Thanks,
you're too
Cory.
nice, Mr. Cory. You're too nice. Well, we appreciate you coming on, giving us a half hour of your time.
Of course.
No, this was fun.
This is awesome.
I wish you'd stop by and not be such a stranger. Come by, say hi to us once in a while. You're not that far away.
I know. I need to do that more. I still haven't checked out the new facility, and that's on me. So don't be surprised if you see somebody with a mustache and long hair traipsing through the doors here the next couple days.
All right, we'll put everybody on high alert. Well, thanks, Cory. I appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode number 12.
Yeah.
We're making our way down the line. Well, thanks, Alyssa. We'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Later.
Cory.